All right, thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back. It's still our coverage of the supplementary elections here on Channels Television. And as I did say, we're going to go, even as we're rounding this particular segment down, we're going to Abuja, where the NSCDC Commandant, Mr. Iyamo, is. Now, Mr. Iyamo, you've heard all what's been said. I'm not going to bother you with the philosophical underpinnings because you are not a philosopher, at least not in uniform. But I think we can ask you about moving forward. What would you like to see in terms of better security arrangements? Is it in the synergy between your agency, for example, and others? Because I know there are other agencies involved in security. Or is it in the question of Nigerians taking security as their own business too? You know, give us a sense of what it is that you think we need to do now, since we are looking forward.
Thank you. Security, like you are aware, is not a one-man business. It's a business for everybody. And one man, one security agency alone cannot do it. Therefore, in collaboration, in synergy with other security agencies, like in this election where the police is the lead agency, other agencies are just complementing the Nigerian police. I think in so doing, we will move ahead. And in the area of the public too, we need useful information from them to help us move ahead, to help us to be, the information we get will enable us to be proactive and in security measures. And in moving ahead, all of us have to come together. All the security agencies, both the security agency, I mean, the police, the DSS, and other one, so that we all should forge ahead for a common goal in this country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. As we wind this segment down, I'm going to give first Mr. Thompson and then, of course, Mr. Odukoya an opportunity now. We're looking forward. I mean, there's enough, if we're sharing blame, there's enough blame to go around. And we've probably done quite a bit of that already. But going forward now, in terms of the direct things, I mean, if, for example, the members of the 9th Assembly are listening to you, some of the members, some of those you said will not keep quiet in the aftermath of this and so on. They can't go after everything at once. So if you had to pinpoint, maybe say 3 things that they should go after first, which will be the building blocks for other things, what will those be?
That's a good approach. Now, let me say this, that we started out with me pointing out to you that everything that we're saying are based on systemic flaws. The flaw is in the system, it's not in the people. Everybody you've spoken to on all sides of the equation. So what do we say here? I still insist that if Nigeria is going to retain its position as the giant of Africa, this analog versus digital conflict has to be seen through. And when the digitals win, and they will win, one of the first things we need to put on ground is that Nigeria thinks it is operating a US, American-styled democracy. Now, it behooves on leadership to be able to help us to get the average person, and first of all, highlight the fact that in the mind of the people who have been going to vote here, they are yet to make a connection between the act of voting and all the basic issues of their lives. As a matter of fact, this is where people like this TV station has been doing an excellent job, but is going to have to do a lot better in helping people to connect that vote to the number of children who will end up in good schools, to the number of people who end up dying from malaria fever and some simple things that ought not to be. You need to help to bring to connection that what you're doing with your vote will decide many things concerning husband and wife, whether you ever own a car or never own one, and things like that. But not only that, such people who are real leaders indeed, including, I mean, he mentioned something about the APC and the manifesto of the PDP and all that. The truth is that you are right. I can't speak so that I can give you all the details when you look at what is involved. But at least I know Professor Yemi Osinbajo amongst all those people. I can tell you what he stands for as a personality, okay? And I can tell you that he would be one of the people who realizes that if we lay a proper argument down that we need to reprogram this nation, it's not difficult for somebody like him to know that we need user-friendly narratives to teach the nation exactly what is going on. This is what a real democracy is. This is what it means to you. This is what happens to you. This is how we're going to relate it to your everyday things that you're doing. Number two, we're going to have to produce templates to help the people to see, to understand what is going on. And then, apart from the templates, of course, we're going to have what we call applications. For a good example, I was listening to some youths. And what you don't realize in Nigeria is that the media focuses on the older generation. You keep focusing on us, you are neglecting the youth. If you go listen to them, I listened to one youth talk about the next level excitedly. And another one toned in and said, we are not talking about machetes, buckets, and wheelbarrows. As anybody who brings that around us as a development would find a stiff resistance among the youths. So I said, so what are you talking about? Artificial intelligence. I was shocked. When the youth began to talk to me about artificial intelligence, its applications in farming, genomics, autonomous transportation. Right. When they began to highlight all these things, we came to a conclusion together. There's only one thing that Nigerian leadership needs to understand in writing a new program for Nigeria. What Nigeria needs to do right now is that we need to jump over the mechanical revolution and just go and enter the digital revolution. It's like a man who never owned, you know, those, when we used to go to Nitel to make phone calls, you want to call analog phones. They're not night now. And all those, and those big ones. Then we got to the not 9 Not, and then we now finally came to the GSM technology. Now imagine a nation that has the opportunity to jump directly from using talking drums to communicate and leap over Nitel, leap over analog phones, and jump into digital phones. Market women in Nigeria are using digital phones. Everybody everywhere. You can see that Nigerians are smart people. So my own counsel is this. Please, we must never repeat what we just saw in this election. It's an embarrassment to the academia in Nigeria, using scissors to cut results and magnifying glass and then collating this and that. We must, as elders, older people in this community, we must look at the younger ones who are coming up. We must remember the things we enjoyed at least a bit in our times. And then we must help them to maximize this quantum leap into the digital world. The market woman in Kano, the young person in Maiduguri, every aspect of life in Nigeria will take that quantum leap, and we will be the real giants of Africa once again. Well,
you speak so eloquently, Mr. Thompson, about the youth.
Yes.
But there will be those who will, and now I'm coming to you, there will be those who will argue that the youth have learnt from those in front of them, and that, in fact, at many of the things that we're talking about, they have gotten better. They have introduced technology, you know, into these bad processes that you want to change. And that, in fact, if there's to be any tweaking and restructuring and reprogramming, that's where it ought to start. Before I come to you, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that.
Let me just quickly tell this to you, Laddie. Obviously, you move around only with the elites in Nigeria. The very minor percentage of youths who have had the kind of access you're talking about and are applying it in a negative way are a complete minority. Nigeria has a teeming youth population of youths who you have not listened to, who are their voices are totally unheard. Trust me, they are still programmable. Their hearts are still open. Many of them have parents who can rub 2 nickels together. Many of them have, you know, struggled through so much, yet they still have a heart that is towards Nigeria. Now, what can happen is this. If we miss this opportunity and then let the deterioration go on for another 8 years, then we'll come to the place where you mentioned when it will be too late for us to turn things around. But I can tell you something, go around this nation, and I have been around this nation. Look at the young people see what they can do, see the zeal in their hearts, you will know that we have been